Ever wondered how our body fights off viruses and cancerous cells? It's an intricate dance performed by the immune system, our biological superhero, tirelessly working to keep us healthy. The system is divided into two main responses, cell-mediated and humoral. Today, we're delving into the cell-mediated immune response, a fascinating process that doesn't rely on antibodies. In the cell-mediated response, our body's defenders are T lymphocytes, also known as T cells. But they don't work alone. They're supported by a team of antigen-presenting cells, or APCs, which include macrophages, B cells, and dendritic cells. Together, they form the first line of defense against harmful invaders. To orchestrate this defense, T cells and APCs use special proteins called cytokines, which are like the immune system's communication network. Through these messages, T cells are directed to where they're most needed, ready to battle against viruses and cancerous cells. But how exactly does this complex process occur? Let's dive deeper to find out. Opening. T lymphocytes, or T cells, are the stars of the cell-mediated immune response. Delving right into it, let's talk about the four types of T cells: T helper cells, T killer cells, T suppressor cells, and T memory cells. Each one has a unique role in the immune response, making them incredibly important in our body's fight against disease. First off, we have the T helper cells, also known as CD4+ cells. These cells are like the conductors of an orchestra, directing the immune response. They secrete cytokines which stimulate cell division of B cells, leading to their maturation into plasma and memory cells. Additionally, these cytokines activate macrophages to bring about phagocytosis, and they also encourage the clonal expansion of T helper cells themselves. That's some serious multitasking. Next up are the T killer or cytotoxic cells, also known as CD8+ cells. These are the heavy hitters responsible for taking down infected cells. They do this by secreting cytotoxins or creating holes in the pathogen's cell membrane through a protein called perforin. This results in cell lysis or apoptosis, destroying the pathogen. Then we have the T suppressor cells, also known as TREG or regulatory T cells. These cells are like the brakes of the immune response, preventing it from going into overdrive. They shut down T cell-mediated immunity once the pathogen has been defeated, preventing excessive immune reactions. This also helps to prevent autoimmune diseases where the body mistakenly attacks its own cells. Finally, we have the T memory cells. These cells are the keepers of immunological memory. Their population increases only after their initial exposure to an antigen. If the same antigen presents itself again, they are triggered to convert themselves into cytotoxic T cells and kill the pathogen. This is why you generally don't get diseases like chickenpox more than once. Closing. T cells are the body's first line of defense against foreign invaders. They are the unsung heroes of our immune system, working tirelessly to keep us healthy and disease-free. When a virus or cancerous cell invades, T cells spring into action. This is the story of how our microscopic defenders wage war against harmful invaders. Imagine a battlefield. In the midst of this, T helper cells, the generals of this cellular army, start their strategy. These cells secrete substances called cytokines, akin to the battle cry that initiates the fight. The cytokines stimulate cell division, causing the ranks of B cells and macrophages to swell. It's like a call to arms, rallying the forces, preparing for the onslaught. But it's not just about numbers. Our T helper cells also ensure the troops are battle-ready. They stimulate the maturation of B cells into plasma and memory cells, akin to training raw recruits into seasoned soldiers. They also activate macrophages, our body's cleanup crew, to bring about phagocytosis, a process that engulfs and destroys the invaders. Now let's meet the T killer cells, the assassins of our cellular defense. These cells have a lethal method of dealing with pathogens. They trigger the destruction of the pathogen's DNA, essentially pulling the genetic blueprint of the invader apart. They do this by secreting a substance called cytotoxin or by creating holes in the pathogen's cell membrane using a protein called perforin. This results in cell lysis, the bursting open of the cell, or apoptosis, a more orderly form of cellular death. Of course, all battles need to end, and that's where T suppressor cells come into play. These cells act as peacekeepers, stepping in to prevent excessive immune reactions. They shut down T-cell mediated immunity once the pathogen has been defeated, ensuring we don't damage our own cells in the heat of the battle. They also help to prevent autoimmune diseases, conditions where our immune system mistakenly attacks our own cells. Even after the pathogen has been defeated, T memory cells remain vigilant for future attacks. These cells, like old war veterans, remember the face of the enemy. They lie in wait, ready to convert themselves into cytotoxic T cells to swiftly kill the pathogen if it dares to invade again. Let's take a closer look at how these cells work together to protect the body. Imagine a viral infection has made its way into your body. The first players on the scene are T helper cells. These cells are like the conductors of an orchestra, coordinating the immune response. They secrete cytokines, which are essentially chemical messengers stimulating cell division of B cells and prompting their maturation into plasma and memory cells. Simultaneously, these cytokines also activate macrophages, the body's cleanup crew, to bring about phagocytosis, a process where these cells engulf and destroy the virus particles. This coordinated response helps to control the spread of the infection. Next, enter the T killer cells. These cells are the body's specialized soldiers. They seek out and destroy the virus-infected cells in a targeted manner. They do this by secreting cytotoxin, a substance that triggers the destruction of the virus's DNA. They can also create holes in the virus's cell membrane using a protein called perforin, resulting in cell lysis or bursting, effectively neutralizing the virus. While this battle is raging, there are also T suppressor cells at work. These cells are the body's peacekeepers, ensuring that the immune response doesn't go overboard. They help shut down T-cell mediated immunity once the pathogen has been defeated. This is crucial to prevent excessive immune reactions that can harm the body's own cells. They also play a role in preventing autoimmune diseases, where the immune system mistakenly attacks the body's own tissues. And lastly, we have T memory cells. These cells are like the body's record keepers. Their population increases after initial exposure to an antigen. If the same antigen presents itself again, they remember it and quickly convert themselves into cytotoxic T cells to kill the pathogen. So, from coordination to combat, to peacekeeping and memory, these 4 types of T lymphocytes work in harmony to protect the body from viral infections and even cancerous cells. And that's how our bodies use cell-mediated immunity to fight off viruses and cancerous cells. Stay healthy and keep learning.